Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to another session of Living World of Darkness, New York by Night Camarilla venue. Tonight, the baby gangrel, as she's known, Elena Finn, has been invited to the coal cellar by one Mitchell Limey Rigby, because it's been a while since he's seen her, and since her camping trip, they haven't run across each other, and he's rather eager to find out exactly what happened when she went missing after that ambiguous text he got. And Frank doesn't seem to be letting on, so he figured he'd ask Eleanor herself. He sent her a message. He's asked her to come, rather than to the club where he's usually found, he's asked her to come to his apartment, which is in the same place. To get to his apartment, she just needs to walk into the main entrance of the club. And where she'd usually go down the stairs, just behind the banister, there's a door marked private, which is usually locked rather heavily, chains, various latches. But he has assured her that tonight she'll find it unlocked, and that she should just let herself in, lock the door behind her, and walk on straight up. So, and that's where we begin our scene.
That is indeed where we begin our scene. Young Eleanor Finn has received the text from Limey. She makes her way to the coal cellar once again, this time parking quite close to it, whereas normally she would be want to park over a couple of blocks and then just walk, enjoy the night air. This time she parks quite close, almost to outside, where maybe one of the bouncers says, "Hey, you can't park there," and just shrug and move the car. Gets to the door marked private, goes to knock at the start, just a little bit of politeness coming through, but then realizes that Limey's probably just waiting, so she'll just tentatively open the door a crack, look through, and just go, "Limey?"
As she opens the door, she finds herself in a dimly lit hallway. It's got like a red, relatively thick carpet. It looks like when this apartment was built, it looked like it was a relatively sort of nice place. There's a dim light hanging in this little hallway, and it doesn't illuminate much. There's a hallway leading forwards. You can see off to one side a set of stairs leading up to the first floor, and straight through there's like a small living area. And
Okay.
as she calls his name, she'll see Limey appear from around the corner, silhouetted. The light isn't on in the room he's come from, and he'll sort of walk around the corner. He's not dressed like she'll usually find him. He's still wearing the hat, but he's wearing like a black roll neck jumper with a pair of checked trousers and a pair of beaten up old brogues on his feet. He says, "Evening, Eleanor. Why don't you lock the door behind you?"
Am I in trouble? She says as she shrinks against the door.
And he kind of gives her a sideways glance, and sort of as he walks towards her and turns left into the hallway with the stairs, he says, "Well, that remains to be seen, doesn't it? But why don't you come on up?"
Eleanor turns and goes to close the door, goes to lock it. In the meantime, she's grabbed her phone out and she's just put Frank's number on speed dial and then pops it back in her pocket. You can make a stealth roll for that if you want.
Yeah, sure. And she'll notice where he says lock the door, there are several latches and chains on this rather thick door. And she has higher stealth than I would have imagined.
Still didn't get anywhere though. I had 2 1s in that cancelled out both successes.
We'll see if I don't cancel out my successes, because if not, Limey has already turned around and he's oblivious. And he hasn't got the best perception roll, very average, so we'll check.
Let's have a look.
He sort of stops at the foot of the stairs and turns around, glances
and yeah, it's so obvious to you that in her hand, like in the hoodie pocket, there's just this light glowing through from the screen, which she hasn't turned off. So it's obviously she's just reached to her phone, and there's even that little blip of call ready, and she just realizes she's fucked up and just puts her hands back into her hoodie pocket, grabs the phone with one hand, and just gives you the best adorable smile that she can. I'm coming.
He kind of turns around and looks at the phone, looks back at her, and he goes, "Come on." He walks upstairs, and if she chooses to follow him, she'll notice that it looks like an apartment that's probably made. It's a house essentially. And upstairs she'll see two closed doors. One of which looks a little heavier than the other. And aside from that, as he will sort of walk through a door into a relatively large living area, like a living room.
Okay.
It's she'll be able to smell in this apartment because she's relatively perceptive. She can smell quite a strong scent of cannabis, like it smells like he's got a large quantity stashed somewhere.
And it does tend to cling to everything.
Yeah. But when she walks into the living area, it's relatively bohemian. There's like a low leather couch with like a throw rug over it, a low lamp in the corner. It's very Art Deco in style, and there's a record player, which is playing. Is that Louis Armstrong? And as she passes the door frame, just next to the door, she'll notice there's a hatchet sort of up against the wall. But he walks into a corner and he sits on a relatively, it looks like a sort of a worn leather armchair, possibly a recliner, but he sort of shuffles down into it and he takes his hat off and puts it down on the coffee table and lights up his candle.
Whilst following Limey through the, as described, reasonably dimly lit hallway, Elena will actually have activated Protean 1 and just to be able to see a lot clearer. Not that you'll be able to notice because her eyes always fucking glow. Let's just say they glow a tiny bit more redder than usual, but that glow just seems to fade down a tiny bit as she takes her sunnies off, pretty much in the same style of getting comfortable of Limey taking his hat off. She'll just take her sunnies off and put them in her pocket, opposite pocket to the phone, and her eyes will just dim down a bit. Still glow like coals, but not quite so bright. You will notice, Limey, that Eleanor is dressed quite different to what you're used to as well. So it seems that we all have a new wardrobe. Rather than wearing her torn-up jeans and runners and just singlet and green sort of almost army top vest, as it were, she's wearing just black slacks, black hoodie, and again runners, but again a lot more fashionable. It actually looks like something that Rose would pick. And she'll just wait at the door, give a glance to the weapon in the doorway, and again back at Limey, and just wait for his instructions.
He sort of looks at her and he sort of sits down and he makes himself quite comfortable and begins sort of rolling a cigarette, and it's a little while before he looks up and sees Eleanor stood in the doorway kind of awkwardly. And you get the impression he's not really used to company here. He sort of, oh, of course. Sit down. I apologise. And he sort of gestured towards the low leather couch.
Elena shrugs and just rubs the palms of her hands together a bit nervously, approaches the couch indicated, and do a 360. It's the same thing that he noticed probably with last time she sat down at the club, is that she just does a 360 of where she's about to sit down like a cat and then settles. And she'll actually take the hood of her hoodie off, which she was wearing up beforehand, but it doesn't fit over my headphones. So.
Hey, before we start, I'd like to make a perception empathy, just to see where she's at. how on edge she is, or if she's not on edge at all, in fact. And
Yeah, sure do.
if you're wrong, there's 2 successes.
She's not hiding anything, so you can see that she's obviously nervous at the potential chiding that she's expecting. There's a bit of nervousness there because she recognizes Limey as a superior and elder, as it were. So she thinks she's in for a telling off, pretty much, and that's pretty much the general gist and the feel that you're getting. It's sort of like when a mother calls their child in using their middle name, and that child knows it's in trouble. What else can I give you? Because you got 2, I'll also give you that as soon as the hoodie comes off, you can see little tufty ears poking out from behind her hair. Yay, first animal feature.
Oh, cute.
It is, isn't it?
As Limey kind of sits and brings a cigarette to his lips, he'll sort of look at the ears, and she'll feel his eyes, his grey eyes, kind of glance her over, across, and then up, and then down. And he sort of sits back and looks at her and he says, so, camping, huh? And word is you got lost out on an island.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He pulls out his
I'd
phone.
like to do.
Oh, sorry.
I'd like to do my own perception empathy at this point if I could, and I just need to double check what I actually have. Shit, where are you? There we go. Okay. Just to get the feel of what Limey's doing. You want to make it diff 6 because then it's 4 or 5.
Yeah, it'll be about different.
Okay. So that's 5 then. Where's Limey at?
So how many successes did you get? I was checking for Facebook, checking on Facebook for something that you sent me a little while ago.
5.
Oh god, yeah. Elena, with incredible deafness, kind of like her eyes kind of, she doesn't even need to look like she's looking at him. She's just staring at her hands, and she sort of glances up at Limey, and she can read from his body language the way he's poised. He's trying to come across quite relatively relaxed. But this whole camping thing, you can tell just by the way he said it that he doesn't buy it. There's something in his eyes that says that while he is actually quite happy to see Elena, she's one of the few people that he really does enjoy the company of. There's a big part of him, but there's just that little glint that she might have seen in a few of the Bruiser's eyes, where he's actually kind of like there's something lurking beneath the surface. He looks a little bit upset about something, and
Gotcha.
yeah. From the change of clothes, you can tell that he seems that he's comfortable here. This is his inner sanctum, and people don't come in here very often. And judging by the phone in his pocket, you can even tell what he's about to pull out. And he scrolls through a bunch of text. He says, "So, camping." And he throws the phone down on the table, and he says, "Then what the fuck do you call that?" And it's the text she sent him before she went missing.
Yep. I imagine it was. As the phone slams down on the table, Elena jumps back and just shuts her eyes for a moment and just quite nervously judders back. Does the whole scaredy cat thing. Okay. I maybe went somewhere I shouldn't have gone, but then I went camping.
What do I have to use to detect a lie?
That would be, I think, a perception empathy again. Let me just check on my handy cheat sheet.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, perception empathy because it's manipulation subterfuge counter.
Oh no, no, there's nothing. He kind of glances at you and sort of camping. Stop camping. Don't. And there's a look of frustration on his face as he kind of stops and looks up and looks at you again really intently, like nobody pulls the wool over my eyes. He can't tell. He thinks that she's being quite sincere.
Okay, I'm going to ready my manipulation dice, and I'll roll it after what Elena says, and we'll see how much she actually buy and how convincing she is. Sound fair?
Yeah, great, great.
Sweet. Okay. Elena just sort of holds her hands up, almost in a defeat. Look, you know how we were talking about the bad island.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that conversation. Been regretting it ever since you went dark.
I did kind of go there, and I know that it was probably the stupidest thing in the world to do, but I did, because I wanted to help you. I wanted to help everyone, but then I sent my birds in because I know that I can't go there. I can't go there. I mean, I saw what they did to Frank, and I saw what happened afterwards, and I sent my birds in. And then normally they come back, but they didn't come back, and that was a cue for me to piss off real quick. So I pissed off real quick. Oh, see, this is exactly what happened. Birds went in, birds didn't come back. Elena tried to escape, but they nabbed her on the way out. So far, not a word of a lie.
Okay, okay.
And then I realized that I had to gather myself again. You know how I went camping with Rose, and it really taught me a lot about who I was and what it means to be gangrel. So I realized that I screwed up, and I realized that I put myself in more danger than potentially what I should have done. And I realized that I put not just me in danger, but the people that might come looking for me. And so I just had to chill. So I just had to go back to the wilds and collect myself and become perhaps a bit more wiser again. And that is the lie, so we'll see how the roll goes. Calling it 2 is perception empathy to get through it. It's 1. That's the 1, sorry, 1 success.
Okay, right. Come on!
Come on, Limey. Oh, god damn!
Yeah. Shit.
Still, defender wins. Ow!
He kind of looks down and he's like, everything about this says it's wrong. Everything about this says that somebody's lied to me somewhere down the line. But despite it, he looks up into Elena's eyes, and there's something so imploring about her, so disarming that he just he buys it. It's like,
Okay. I have to make a conscience roll at this point because Elena feels shit that she's lying to you. So, shall we say, on a pass, she just maintains the facade. On a fail, she'll come clean. Rolling it. Oh, she passes, but she feels shit about it. And Elena just, again, puts her hands in her lap, folds her fingers, and just starts playing with her thumbnails. It's just how it is. And I'm sorry that I worried you, but
you worried everyone.
Who's everyone, Limey? I know that Rose was a bit worried. I know that Frank would have been worried. But really, who am I in the grand scheme of things? Never mind, I'm just being...
Don't say so.
Just...
It's sort of like, I mean, you never see real kind of, it's weird, he doesn't really do the whole Bruges passion thing. He gets up and forces himself out of the chair and kind of strides across the room and paces, and he's like, he says, what do you mean, who are you in the grand scheme of things? What a ridiculous thing to say. And he just sort of and he paces backwards and forwards, and he sort of settles, and he's turned away from her at the time, and he kind of puts his hand on the wall. And like you can tell he's very upset. Like he act like probably more upset than he would let on.
Mm.
He sort of ridiculous thing to say.
Look, I'm sorry.
No,
I mean,
right now,
is this how it is? No, no, please, Limey, don't give me that look. I don't know, I just seem to be screwing up all the time.
of course you're not screwing up all the time. I screwed up. I should never agreed to such a ridiculous plan. I was thinking too coldly, too dispassionately.
No, that's just it. You were thinking exactly how you need to be thinking. I I understand that now. I truly do. Initially, I would have thought that there would have been another way, but I understand where you're coming from. After what they did to Frank, I I would give my life for Frank. You know this. I would give my life for you and for Rose and anyone that has shown me kindness. The things that they did to him, and I would never want to see that happen to any of you. Your actions were correct, Limey. I argued until the cows came home that we should not go in there and just demolish that fucking place. Now I understand what it is that you meant and why you're so passionate about it. Limey, I'm sorry I disagreed with you. Your heart's in the right place, but perhaps I was not the agent that you needed.
Turns
For all
around.
that,
Sorry,
for all,
as you carry on talking, he turns and sort of walks a little closer to the table that separates you and puts his hands in his pockets and kind of sort of his face is a lot calmer. And he sort of as he listens. And he sort of says, "Well, you're young. It was foolish to try and use you as an agent in the first place, and frankly, you were both right to warn me against such a brash course of action. You're both right to do that. I just, I couldn't have, I couldn't have handled anything bad happening to you. And after Rose's vision, I was convinced that we, uh, we weren't going to find you intact. And it would pain me greatly to think that someone so young could have been lost over something so frivolous on my actions.
do me another perception empathy, beat 2 on the line of found you intact.
Um, is it completely cheeky to spend a little bit of willpower?
You're not getting anywhere. I'm going to say Bruja passions are coming through and you're looking for something, so I'll give you 1.
Cheers.
But this is your only 1.
Ah, fuck!
Oh no!
And he can't see anything still? Oh, Christ, I really want to get to the bottom of this. Okay, right, no more willpower rolls, but he sort of, and he kind of comes and sits down next to Elena on the couch, on the edge of the couch. He's not close, and his body language kind of stiffens. He sort of says, his hands steeple in front of him. You should have seen Frank, really. Frank frenzied on me, do you know that? Never seen Frank frenzy. We were sat in the car and I said, we'll be able to find her, I promise.
No, I
He was
don't
so
even want to think
worried,
about it.
Elena.
Did,
He was so worried.
did he
I
hurt you?
No, he didn't hurt me. Turns out Silas was in the car the whole time and did something interesting with the powers of the blood, and I said some things which apparently appealed to the human in Frank, and he calmed down. Had I not Had I not used a little bit of celerity, then you probably would have had me.
And this is what I mean, Limey. I just don't know. I don't know how to drive this vehicle yet. She's just pointing at herself in general. And I'm wondering whether I need to go to a driving course before I take it on road again, because I'm just going to hit other people. I don't know, it's not the best analogy, but that's how I'm looking at it. A couple of nights ago, when Frank picked me up from the camping spot, he was so angry at me. And all I wanted to do was run away again. But that wouldn't be right now, would it?
Can't run away from our problems, kid. Don't work like that. Sometimes you just gotta face them head on. You know, and you do it alone a lot of the time. Unfortunately, this existence is rather lonely. But what you've got Frank, a good man who wants to stick around. He wants to look after you. And he wants to make sure you're safe. How many of us had that, Elena? How many of us had that?
He certainly didn't. He certainly didn't. And I'm very proud of him, you know? It's often the case that the abused becomes the abuser. I'm quite happy to be Frank's child. Asked me that a month ago, and I don't think that I would have been honest about that. But the things he's done for me.
He would have walked through hot coals, broken glass, and werewolf shit to get you back, if that's what it would have taken. He may not show it all the time, Elena, but he cares for you, like a lot. And to prove that, men do silly things to prove things, and his way of proving it was to drive off a bridge.
Oh God.
We were all really worried about you. And at this point, if it's okay, I'd like to roll charisma empathy to sort of. He's just trying to make her understand how worried we all were. Is that okay?
Okay. That's good. You may have been noticing I've been doing my self-control rolls, and I will continue doing those because there are a few little poignant bits that are just resonating, and she might crack.
Three successes on expressing exactly how Limey's trying to put across, you know, how worried they all are, and he's the thing where she said like, you know, really, what am I worth to everyone? Kind of got to him a little bit. He's trying to sort of point out to her, damn, you're worth a lot, kid. And, as he turns to look at you with his grey, slightly sunken eyes, she sees real, almost like a human, like an expression of himself. Like she can feel his sorrow and she can feel his sincerity with the words he's saying. He's not just bullshitting as he is prone to do.
You tear at my heartstrings. You truly do. Conscience roll coming up. Because you had 3 successes, I'm gonna increase difficulty, I think, let's say to... Let's say to 8. Because Ellen has quite high humanity, and if I was without doing the conscience rolls, and if I was just playing the character, she would be sobbing right now.
What? How do you get such successful rolls? I need some of your mojo.
Dude, they happen when I don't need them to, and they don't happen when I really need them to.
He sort of he's like, as he sort of like he runs a hand through his tousled hair and sort of gets up and He moves a little bit. So he kind of looks like he's going to move back to his own chair, and then he sits down again. And his hands curl up on the table. He sort of says,
Elena will just read Limey's body language, and then it'll come across quite strongly the sheer emotion that he's feeling at the moment, the old passionate brouhaha coming across. And there'll be just a little bit of a flinch to her just when the realization of just how worried everyone was comes to her. And rather than crack, she'll just sort of unfold her hands from where she was clutching at her chest beforehand. It's actually interesting. It's a pose that you've never seen her do before, that she's actually clutching her chest like so. And her hand just reaches out and will actually pop one hand on top of Limey's hands and just pat it quite awkwardly to begin with, and then almost become comforting in a way. It's like, I know that I worried you, Limey, and I'm really sorry. And I know that I worried everyone, and there's only so much I can say to that.
"No, I don't,
I
you kid."
I don't intend to do it again. I don't. Take my word on it.
He kind of looks down and at the hand, and let me think. How long would it have been since somebody had done that? Quite a long time. Um, uh, it's quite cold. It's quite a bony hand. As she rests it on it, she can feel breaks in the knuckles. They're quite lumpy, quite sinewy hands. And he sort of looks down at it, looks back up at her like a little bit. Gives her a little sort of tight lip smile and says, "I'm not trying to guilt you, kid. That's not what it's all about. It's just,
Okay.
yeah. In a selfish way, I couldn't have taken your loss on my conscience. I'm not sure what that would have done to me. I'm just glad you're safe, really. Camping. But what happened? Did you lose your phone? I mean, didn't you have signal where you were camping? Why did you get so lost?"
I know it seems silly considering that I just spent a week out in the wilds with Rose, but hey, sometimes she just shrugs. Sometimes you just go a bit off the rails. Sometimes you get lost, and sometimes it's not by your own doing. But what matters is that I'm safe and that I'm back, Limey, and my conviction has never been stronger. I have learned something about myself, and I feel the stronger for it. I got lost. I was tired. I was hungry. I was very scared. And I missed everyone. And I was worried about what you were feeling, what Rose is feeling, and Frank, Alex, and all the rest of them. I can't deny that. But then when I got out of the camping grounds, of that forest, of those dark, dark woods, I think I came out the stronger for it. And maybe that's something that I had to experience.
Maybe
When I
so.
went camping with
Maybe
when
so.
I went camping with Rose, it was good. It was fun. It was great. We raced the sun. We jumped off waterfalls, slept in underwater cabins with glow bugs. My God, Limey, there were so many glow bugs. It was beautiful. And it was nice to actually, even briefly, see it dawn again.
I bet it was. I bet it was.
But you know, it was something. It was something that I always had to do alone. This time I did it alone, and that allowed me far more insight, which is what I should have done to begin with. The camping trip with Rose, no more than a camping trip. Where I went last time, that was self-discovery. That was a strengthening of resolution, and perhaps even a strengthening of character. I hope you can understand that.
I suppose it can. The Gangrel are a strange clan. No other clan has an affiliation quite like it. The wild's quite a tempestuous thing, quite a dangerous thing. From what I understand, I never really took to it myself, despite Frank offering to throw me off a waterfall. Where did you go?
That there's a place just north of here, about 5 hours drive. Took Rose there. Nice little park, lots of wildlife. I could take you sometime.
I like that. And that's the same place you went this time?
No,
Where'd you go this
no,
time?
these were darker woods, island offshore.
Island offshore.
I don't know what it's called. I saw it on Google Maps. Blatant lie.
Oh, am I contesting that?
If you want to.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Shit, she's a better liar than I thought.
Fuck's sake, I really wanted to get to the bottom of this.
It's not like I'm not throwing you clues.
No, not at all.
Ah.
You're making this as easy as possible. This character's got ridiculous empathy. He's got ridiculous subterfuge. He's a good liar. Fuck.
Alright. I'll make it easy. I'll make it easy for you, and you're gonna hate me afterwards. Elena swings around in her chair until she's actually facing Limey head on, and those big red eyes just sort of not dolefully, but in a very serene fashion, just bore into yours, Limey. The grip on your hand just pats again, and she'll just sort of move her hand up and down like she's just stroking your head like a mother would a child, or somebody was comforting another. Those big eyes just bore into yours, and there's a connection that she makes with your beast almost in a way. And I'll be rolling animalism 3 to make you a bit more apathetic at this point. And that cancels those ones, but I think that goes off your willpower. So what's your willpower at?
My willpower is it temporary willpower it goes off?
It's your current.
Yeah. In that case, let's take a look. I think he's got quite low willpower, so if it's going off his current, he currently has 1 willpower.
Oh shit. Okay.
Mm.
That means that just happened. Yeah.
What's that just happened?
That was 5 successes that just happened. With Song of Serenity, just making you a lot more apathetic. Like Elena's beast reaches out to your beast, in a way that it just calms it right the way down. That Bruja frenzy that that Bruja passion that you're always feeling, that makes you want to pace and twitch and roll cigarettes and stare into whiskey glasses. All of that is actually gone. It almost feels like there's a certain connection and almost a zen-like state that you enter, that you're happy in the moment, that everything is as it should be. Every place in its thing and all the rest of it. It's actually a very deep moment of serenity that she's sharing with you.
As she sort of looks into his eyes and her beast engages with his, all of that twitchy nature that she'll see, the sort of adjusting of the hat and the kind of the cigarette kind of, his hand with the cigarette in it, drops to the table, and the cigarette kind of drops into an ashtray. He pulls his hand back, and while he's usually quite a tensed up guy, like his hand beneath Elena's relaxes, and it's quite soft. Like, and he sort of and as she looks into his eyes, he kind of just, that whole the thing, the gritted teeth, the sort of set jaw, the kind of furrowed brow relaxes, and he sort of, you get the impression this is what Limey looked like when he was a slightly happier, slightly younger man.
And while I've got you apathetic and listening to every word that I'm saying, Elena is going to do a bit of her nature at you for my own egotistical willpower needs. Elena just sort of takes that hand and actually clasps it between the two of hers and just holds it and again is staring into your eyes and goes, Limey, I understand that you worry, but realize that everything on this earth happens for a reason. We might not know at the moment that it happens, but there is no point to being agitated. There is no point to holding grudges. There is no point on placing blame. There's only the now. It's something that Frank taught me. Only this moment. And we should be grateful for every moment that we have. Whether I'm gone tomorrow, whether you're gone tomorrow, I'd be sad. I'd be distraught. But Limey, life goes on. Life is for everyone a story. Every story has a beginning and an end. And we just have to accept that. And she'll let go of his hand, realizing she's probably held it too long, and break eye contact, and that serenity just sort of throbs away. I won't say it's like snap gone, but yeah, we'll just say that it goes away quite slowly. But Limey will be quite chill for the rest of the scene.
You notice like his worry lines have gone. Like he's he doesn't say anything to her words. He feels that there is nothing he can say. But he as she sort of turns away from him, he looks at the hand that she had held on to. He kind of looks at it and then leans back in his chair. And not in the usual kind of crunching of the spine and the kind of really tense inside. He sort of leans back and sort of folds, sort of rests his hands on his knees. No, no, you're right. You're right. I guess it's silly to be worried over.
Can I ask you a question, Limey?
And he looks into her eyes, and there's this moment of course you can ask me a question.
Considering that I already did. And she'll just smile at her and quip at herself. The band you wear. And she'll look down at the ring on his finger. You've lost much, haven't you?
I guess. I suppose so. No, let's
Huh? Go on. Elena's listening.
Yeah. It wasn't always, this limey caricature. I was always the man in the hat. My suits were slightly nicer. Oh, the girls loved me, Elena. The girls loved me, they really did. All the guys wanted to be me. Dan, Jackie Brown. He sort of like smiles to himself. Suppose you could say that's what got me into this mess, but fucking hell. 25 years old, 59, what a time to be a young man. Ronnie Scott's was my playground. Long time ago. I suppose that's good. Gotta keep moving, ain't you? You dig?
Maybe kinder if I were older. I'd be doing more digging.
Oh,
Why
sorry.
is it?
No,
Why is
sorry.
it you hold on to those memories? Why is it you hold on to those memories, Limey? Why do you still wear it? Again, still looking at the ring.
Because, okay, signet ring. And he kind of brings it up slightly closer, and he holds it out, and it's in the in sort of gold. It's emblazoned in the gold in like calligraphy. There's MR, stands for his initials. Because you can't hold on to what you used to be when you were human. You know? This, what have we got to hold on to? Well, while, don't get me wrong, I wasn't a saint, never a saint. I never did all this. And he kind of looks at the hatchet in the corner. Never did all that. 25 years old, working class in London. Ain't many ways to make a decent living this straight. So, you shift a little bit of dope, break into a few houses, but none of that makes you a bad guy. But the years wear on. You get involved with the wrong people, going a little deeper every time, and it could have gone the other way, it could have gone the other way. Had I been embraced by the Toreador, then my social side would have been prized, and I no doubt would be the man that I often pretend to be in the public eye. But when the Bruges get a hold of you and they admire you for your business acumen rather than your social acumen, then, well, I guess, you become, I don't know, you become, well, we're all multifaceted, and you become that facet, and it exemplifies. Why do I hold on to it? Because, damn it, kid, ain't much else worth holding on to. When you get a little older, you'll understand.
Possibly I will. You told me that story not long ago about the Toreador and the Bruja.
Oh, God, yeah.
You say that what you pretend to be may have been may have gone further than what it is that you perceive that you've become. Do you think that a clan defines us? That it alters us to a point where we can no longer be what our souls are?
I think certain clans attract certain people. And while the Toreador may be a fickle bunch, you mimic those around you.
That is true.
The Toreador, as you know, a clan of artists and socialites. Bruges, even back then, I mean, they're not all rebels and poetic heroes and warrior scholars. Nah, some of them are just scum. And I guess, you hang around with them long enough, you get to go to clubs less, you get to sleep with girls less, and eventually, when you should be sat in a booth drinking whiskey, listening to the biggest band of the hour, you stood in some dingy little park with a suitcase full of cocaine, wondering exactly where the hell you went wrong. And he gives a bemused and relatively pessimistic, like, yeah. But, hey, c'est la vie.
I dig. Can I tell you what I see?
Sure, why not?
You've fallen way too much into the trap of what it is that people would perceive you to be. You want to be a socialite drinking whiskey and listening to the band of the hour? The only thing stopping you is yourself.
I don't know. About, probably about 35, 40 years ago, I just grew tired of it. I got bored you get wrapped up in the business and suddenly it's all you know. I mean, what else are you going to be? It's
And you
just,
can answer that. You said that you got bored of it, but yet you still yearn for it. In a way. I can see that.
It's the
I see
nature of
her.
the beast. Pardon the pun.
Pun pardoned. Point is, Limey, and maybe this is just a flaw of youth once again, I firmly believe that I could have been embraced any clan, and that I would still love nature as much as I do now. I firmly believe that I would probably go disappearing as much as I do now, because that's what I did when I was human. Some people listen to jazz, some people drink whiskey, some people that read their books until the cows come home. I've always loved nature, and that is what I would do. It is fortunate that Frank chose me, because it's so much easier now.
Yeah. I guess I can do that. I mean, it must be, I don't know. Did you always have this yearning for the outdoors? Or was that a prerequisite of being of the blood you are?
I don't think that it's a prerequisite. Certainly a lot of people that I've met, well, a lot of gangrel that I've met, and when I say I'm a lot, I mean the few that I have met seem to have an affinity for it. But I'm kind of like the geek of them, if that makes any sense. They're all these strong beasties that can talk to beasties and grow beastie claws, and I just like sitting under a tree and reading.
At least you can read in the dark. But
Yeah, that's handy.
being the geek's cool. I don't know,
We
all
nerds
that.
will rule the world one night.
Uh, Apparently that's what they keep telling me.
Eh,
Besides, I don't know. I think if you were into all that growing claws and jumping into the front line, we'd lose you a lot sooner than we should. But frankly, Elena, I'd like it if you stuck around.
well, I'd like it if I stuck around too. Can you imagine the amount of thesis that I could read and write and be privy to now that I have all this time on my hands?
That's why
Amazing.
you and Rose get along so well. What do you mean? See, I mean, so what are you into science or what's your passion?
I was studying to be a myconologist, but I do have a major in botany as well. Plants. I love my plants. And then I sort of progressed onto fungus because they're also fascinating.
Wow. Okay. Not just a pretty face.
And she'll actually blush at that and just look away. Oh, stop.
Give me a sec. I need to roll a charisma subterfuge for Limey. Slightly tranquilized state to not look really pleased with himself. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. The useless roll. Limey manages to keep it to himself. Internally, he's going, still got it. Hey, only because you pulled that trick. Otherwise, it'd be like, oh great, maybe go blush, fucking. But yeah, he wasn't sort of So, what's the plan now? You're gonna stick to your plants and your fungus? You're gonna, I don't know, work on your affinity with animals? You're gonna read a little more? What's the next plans for Elena Fenn?
Next plan? Next plan? I think I'm gonna go out and meet people. I'm gonna do the thing that, oh, I'm going to sound amazingly dramatic. I'm going to do the things in death I never did in life.
Well,
I was nil.
smart. You got all the time in the world, kid.
And hey, did I tell you that I met a hunter? She didn't kill me. It was great.
When you say Hunter, is the serene that passed over him seems to like
Yep.
tense for a second, and his eyes kind of sort of narrow, and his fist clenches a little bit. Sort of, but he kind of, I don't know how long this thing lasts for, so he soon calms down, sort of less tweaky than he should be. So says, "Wow, a hunter."
Yeah, and some big spider monstrosity. I think I'll just stick around with our kind for now.
Where'd you meet the hunter?
There's the park, and Elena gives you an address. Just a random park. I was helping an old lady across the road. Sat down next to her. Well, actually, she sat down next to me. We had a bit of a conversation. I think the poor dear ended up killing one of her friends because something got hold of her. It was very guilt-ridden. I don't know what's the protocol with that anyway, because I'm sure there is one.
Hunters, so you want to stay away from her. What was her name?
I believe Juno. Tattoo artist. Girl.
Everything that you saw, the serene, the calm.
Yep, snap it.
Huh?
Yeah,
Huh?
snap out of it.
Am I allowed to? Is that how it works?
Yeah. Look, for the sake of the scene, do it. Story
Sort of,
regardless.
and he turns slowly to look Elena in the eye, and he says, "You stay away from her."
She wanted me to do that as well. If I see her again, I'm walking the other way. And scared Elena's back. Quite obviously.
Bad news. That girl, she's got her claws into a friend of mine. Neither of them know what they're doing, I don't think, but dangerous.
But I don't understand, Limey. I mean, if they're hunting us, how... For starters, how am I still amongst the living, and how is your friend, who I imagine is like us, involved with them? Because aren't we supposed to be, like, not working towards the same goals?
We're not, and that's what worries me. She's too sincere, she pulls off this sentimentalist, romantic image, and snares people who should know otherwise. She's maybe you caught her in, I don't know, maybe you caught her in a reflective mood. Maybe she was waiting to lure you in, but the smart thing to do would be to walk the other direction. Can you do that
Oh,
for
I
me?
intend to. I intend to.
Good, good.
I have no intention of making myself a bigger target than I need to be.
And he seems to relax a little bit again now that Elena's been like, yeah, of course I'm going to do that now. He sort of says, and after noticing he's scared her, he's going to try and sort of bring her back down to earth a little. With
What are you
one of the
doing?
best rolls I've ever made.
Holy shit! What is that?
He turns to her and he's like, "Sorry, kid. That wasn't fair. I didn't mean to scare you. It's just, on top of everything that's happened recently, I hope you can understand that I'm a little worried I'm a little worried about you. Not as worried as Frank would be. You want to keep that to yourself, but I want you to be safe. And that Juno broad, no, a sign about her. But I'm sorry for scaring you. Are you alright?"
I'm fine.
You know, I'd never hurt you, Elena. I know what they say about the bruiser and their temper, and I know that I don't give that off very often, but I'd never mean to make you sad or frightened. I don't know. No, you're a good kid. I'll worry about it.
Just out of curiosity, what set did you roll there?
That's charisma, empathy.
Mhm. And I hold it together. And she'll just again be clutched her hands in front of her and just go, "It's very kind of you. And maybe one night I won't need so much looking after. I actually look forward to it. Hey, when do I actually get to be a grown-up? Because that was never explained to me. Because as I understand it, if I screw up, then Frank cops it because he's my sire. When does that wear off?
Well, you haven't screwed up too bad so far. I mean, it's open to interpretation. Being a fledgling, usually the prince turns around and says, "Okay, we can trust you not to do anything stupid, to violate the masquerade, to go and get yourself killed or attract hunters." Seeing as you disappeared recently, I'm thinking maybe you got to prove yourself a little. That's just the way it rolls. You need to prove yourself in this society. Ask Frank. Frank will take you out on some of the safer missions. I don't know, show you the ropes, take you around the city. He's far too. I can't believe I'm saying this. He's too protective of you. He needs to take you out so you can experience things if you ever want to be your own girl.
One moment you couldn't live with yourself if anything happened to me, and the next he's being too soft on me. Limey, now I know how a husband feels with a worried wife.
Oh, no. My wife doesn't cut it. Frank? Oh. No, he's a good guy. He's a good
He
guy. He
is a
was
good guy.
talking about just upping and leaving when you were gone. If anything happened to you, he was just going to get up and walk away. The city would be screwed without Frank Green.
Yeah, I know. He told me as much on the car ride back.
What? He was just going to get up and leave?
Mm, just that he's had enough of his clan, because
Wait,
he
hang
jumped to the
on.
same conclusion. He
Frank,
jumped to the same conclusion.
Frank
Yes?
came. Frank came and picked you up.
Yes.
Oh, he didn't tell me.
Yeah, no, I I really screwed up, and I had to call him from a phone booth because my battery was flat, and he had to come pick me up, or I had to sleep in the dirt another night. Blatant lie rolling.
Hmm.
One. Up to you if you want to counter. Um,
Up,
Elena will just ramble.
up to what? Sorry.
Elena will, up to you if you want to counter that one. Um, Elena's just going to continue rambling on. Yeah, he had to come pick me up, and he was saying that he's lost enough, in this city that he didn't want to lose anything else again because he did jump to the worst possible conclusion, as pretty much everyone is. Ah, yep, you pick up on it. And there's a few things that it's about time. A few things in the conversation that just snap into place that just haven't made sense and have just been way too vague. You don't know exactly what's going on, but you know that something is being kept from you, definitely now.
Sort of.
And Eleanor's still yammering.
He internally chides himself, like, God, how could I have been so stupid? Let a young girl lie to me. How could I let this happen? Ah. But he sort of nods along with the conversation, and he sort of says, "Oh, totally, you're right. You're right.
Because I don't know if you know
He
exactly.
worries about you. Of course, he'll come and pick you up. You wouldn't lie to me, would you, Elena?"
She'll just stop yammering and stop mucking with the pencil she was mucking with. And rolling it. Not if I didn't. Not on purpose. But the way, and she'll just resume mumbling. But the way that I see it, Frank has lost a lot of people, and I don't know exactly why. But the clan gangrel has really suffered, and it's hurt the poor lad.
Elena, please. Look, just stop. Wait a minute, right? Look,
And she'll just stop mucking with what she's got and
I
sit
understand
back.
that he's lost people. He'd never want to lose you. I know that. Look, when I said I'd never try and upset you or hurt you or make you scared, I meant it. But
Okay.
here's the thing. I know there's something about this story that doesn't add up, and I'm imploring you. And usually I'll try and do this via subtle manipulation, and I'll try and be a clever bastard about it, but I don't have the energy. Elena, please, if you're holding something back, if there's something you're not telling me, you can tell me, you know? You don't have to suffer this alone. Whatever it is, you can tell someone. It's not like I'm going to go blabbing it around. Come on, kid. Be straight with me, please. I live in a world full of liars. You're far too young to turn into one of them.
I think I'm just going to voluntarily fail my conscience roll there. Um, because the guilt you're laying on is pretty thick. There's a tiny little pink misting at the corner of Elena's eyes that you can notice. It looks like she's about to start crying, but she'll just grit her jaw and go, no, just shake her head.
I'd like to. What can I roll to see if he can kind of put two and two together? Or is it? Are we just going to roll this out?
Feel free to jump to your own conclusions and gauge reactions. I think that would be the best course of action.
Look, kid.
And she's actually cracking her knuckles now, which is something she's never really done.
He rests a hand on top of the knuckle, on top of her hand, and it's a strong. It's quite a almost. Is that something vaguely paternal? Like he rests a hand and he stops her cracking her knuckles and he says, "That's a bad habit, you know. Look, I'm not gonna be angry. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna chastise you. Nobody else even needs to know. But I know there's something that done that up in this story. I know there's something you're not telling me. And I don't know what it is, but I just want you to, I don't know, I want you to feel like you can talk to me about it. Because damn it, trust me, you bottle things up, you bottle shit up inside you, it sticks. And we have an eternity for that stuff to stay with you. Please, just do me this favour.
I'm not supposed to.
He kind of gets up and with a flick of his hand, the coffee table is moved back a few inches and he kneels down in front of her and he takes her hands. Says, "That's fine. That's fine. If you're not supposed to fail, that's fine. But something happened, didn't it, Camden? You let everyone know before. I knew there was something up with it. Hey, don't be like that. Hey, come here, come here." And he wraps his arms around her, and it's a tense hug. It's very tense. He hasn't done this in a long time, but he just holds her, and she feels like a hand on her lower back, kind of rubbing. She sort of saw like, "Hey, it's fine. You can cry. It's okay to cry. I can dig that." Hey,
They took my heart, Limey.
hey,
They took my heart.
those fucking bastards! I knew they'd done something. Hey, come here.
Frank told me not to tell anyone. But I can't keep lying. I can't.
Hey. It's my consolation. You did a very good job of it. I can smell a lie like a fly earlier. But, hey, Frank doesn't need to know that I know. He doesn't need to know that I know.
They caught me on the way out. And they tied me to a bench. And then they cut me open. They made me watch. There's a mirror in front of me, and they made me watch. They made me watch as they opened me up and took me apart.
He wraps his arms even tighter around her, and there's no tension in it anymore as he brings the baby gangrel to his chest. And sort of goes, hey, shh. Hey, it's over now. Hey. I knew those bastards had done something. Hey. How did you keep this to yourself for so long? You could have told someone. You don't have to go through that sort of thing in silence.
Nearly killed Frank. I don't want to put anyone in danger, Limey. I don't want to. And nearly killed Frank.
Hey, we didn't kill Frank. Hey, no, because we got him back, didn't we? And you looked after him and he was fine,
That's
wasn't he?
not what I'm saying.
What do you
That's not
mean?
what I'm saying. This other gangrel was there. He's with the Sabat, I think. I don't know. He was there. He was watching the entire time, crouched in a corner, cackling like a hyena. Like, this is the best fun ever. So stole. He would have killed Frank. It would have been my fault.
He would have done. You're right. That's what it's about doing. I'm not saying we're the good guys in all this. No, the world's far too ambiguous for that, but hey, we're not. I don't know how to say it to you, Elena, like, it's happened. And it's sad to think that you would have kept it to yourself. And in this moment, you know how much I respect Frank. In this moment, I'm angry with him.
Don't be, please. He can't know that I told you.
No. Alright, look, I won't say anything. But Elena, I can't. I don't know what to say, kid. There's something so awful to happen to one so young. That's heavy.
It didn't beat anymore anyway.
Not a point, is it? It's not a point. Don't try and rationalise it. There's no rationalising it. I mean, he pulls there's a handkerchief in his pocket and he kind of passes it to her, just out of habit, really.
And she'll, out of habit really, just stab the corner of her eyes and blow her nose. And then see the blood on the handkerchief. And again, just shake her head and look like she wants to tear up again. And then quickly put it in her pocket. I'm sorry, Limey. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything. Now you're involved.
Hey. Don't apologise, kid. Pretty good at keeping tight lips. But you don't. And he kind of sort of grits his teeth and looks around like as if, wow, like I can't believe I'm the guy dealing with this. And he sort of says, you don't have to go through it alone. Look, I mean, I know I'm not meant to know, but just you ever need to talk about it, you ever need to, I don't know, vent a little, you need to shout, you need to smack someone in the face, man, I'm there, I can do that. You know, I can't believe I'm saying this. If you ever need somebody to just give you a hug, Hey, who am I to say no? You're too young to have gone through something so awful. And if it's what you want, you'll find them, you'll get them back. If it's what you want. And I promise you. And he kind of comes away from her a little bit and he kneels down in front of her and he kind of lifts her chin and looks into her eyes and says, I promise you, it will never happen again. Cross my heart. It will never happen to you again. Because me and Frank are going to keep you safe.
Elena will just reach forward and just fly into another hug. And then just hold you tight and go, hugs is all I need. It's been too long. Hugs clear so many things up.
He kind of, once again, a little tense in the hug and he says, you're right, it's been a very long time. Look, I have a spare room if you need somewhere.
I'm staying with Rose. For now.
Okay.
I just need a different change of scenery.
Can't believe you weren't going to tell me. I mean, I guess I can understand that, but I don't understand why Frank would make you keep it to yourself.
In the grand scheme of things, at least I wasn't set on fire and had my arms and legs cut off.
Ain't no grand scheme of things. You're born on your own and life's a subjective thing, pardon my somber philosophy. Sure, Frank had it tough, but Frank's an old man.
Nobody deserves that.
Oh no, of course not. Of course not.
Nobody deserves that, and I don't think age comes into play. A killing is a killing, whether you kill a young child or an old man.
I know.
Torture
I'm not
is...
trivialising it. It's awful what they do.
And we could talk on this all night, but Limey, is there any chance I could just have a drink and we could listen to some jazz?
You only ever have to ask, kid. And, he gets up and he walks over to a small kind of bar on the table. And he pulls out a bottle of whiskey that looks almost as old as he does. You know? And he sort of pours it into two crystal glasses, hands one to her. And then he turns up the jazz. And it's slow, it's somber, it's tinkling, and as he sits back down next to her and looks into the glass and shifts hers over to her, he just hesitantly but puts a hand on top of her again. He doesn't look at her. And as the night draws on, the two sit in silence for most of it, but it's just enough being in each other's company. And dawn comes, eventually Elena leaves, and that's where we end our scene. Thank you all for watching, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Margot, wonderful scene. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.